Warning, the following video is full-on spoilers for Gundam The Witch of Mercury, so if you have not watched the series, you're not going to want to watch this video. Now, with that out of the way, I am happy to inform you all that we finally have the answer we've all been searching for. Yes, I know that when we finished Gundam The Witch of Mercury, we weren't quite sure if they were actually together. Like, did that actually happen? Did we actually have a Yuri thing, not just be Yuri bait? They actually got married? Well, I'll tell you what, Bandai Namco has answered that question. It's left up to interpretation. I know it's been a battle back and forth. You had some folks over here saying, nah, it's probably somebody else's ring. We were like, where's the husbands? And then on this side, everybody was like, no, obviously they're married. No, we now have the answer. It's left up to interpretation because it's very hard to figure out. You know, just let's ignore the passing comments about sister-in-law, listen to Eddie, sister-in-law, you know, the whole mother-in-law thing. Just put that aside. We have the answer. Yes, it's interpretation. Just figure it out on your own. Just, what do you feel? It's like the whole art thing. What does this make you feel like? No, is that a cow on the screen? No, what is it? Does it make you feel like a cow? Well, look at it. Yeah, today's not good news for Gundam fans. It's not good news for fans of Yuri, not good news for LGBT, not good news for anime fans in general, and yes, the new fans of Gundam itself. This idea that here's a story that we presented, and yes, a lot of new fans that are into this new story, and yes, the representation that might have brought in other people, and then now we're just kind of throwing it all into the garbage. Now, I don't want a knee-jerk reaction here. I'm not saying boycott Gundam, because I think this is so much more than just Gundam, and I don't think sometimes whenever it comes to these kind of issues that people have, you know, deal with it how you wish. That's perfectly fine. I'm not here to debate this kind of stuff. I kind of give my perspective on it and kind of show what I feel. When I see something like this, I really have to kind of piece it down to really realize what exactly this affects and who is affecting it. And not just completely throw, I guess as they say, the baby out with the bathwater. But to give some people some context, what happened? What happened? This took some digging because I'm not like super Gundam fan. I have the whole series, but it was given to me for review by Right Stuf and Sunrise. I have watched the whole series and I loved Gundam The Witch of Mercury, despite my issues with just how the major plot points worked out towards the later part. But I did like Suetta and I like Miran's character. So when it comes to stuff like this, it's really hard to really kind of piece through, and I didn't want a knee-jerk reaction to make a video, and sometimes stuff like this can just be misinterpreted and then people blow up. But apparently a while back, Gundam Ace magazine put up an article, and this was an interview with Kana Ichinose. In this interview, she specifically mentions the wedding, this marriage that happened between Miran and Suetta. Well, mere days later, they removed the word marriage from that article. And so everybody was kind of confused, like, wait, why would you take this out? It's kind of making it just seem like they're just good friends. Well, that's when things literally hit the fan, when they posted an update to an issue. Essentially, in the statement, they're saying, okay, there was an issue in this particular Gundam Ace magazine, specifically noting this one sentence made by the editor. And even though it was sent off for correction, apparently it did not go through. So that's why some of them have the correction and some of them don't. They state in regard to this specific change, we will leave the work to the way of understanding and interpretation of each of you who saw the main story. So that's where we have the issue. They're basically saying, yeah, somebody put marriage in there. We took that out. We're just going to leave it to your interpretation. It's essentially them as a company not wanting to fully acknowledge this as an official marriage between these two characters. Now, the big issue that comes with that for all the fans out there that watch the show, this show wasn't very shy of the idea of same-sex marriage. It was in there from the very, very beginning. When Suetta won that first duel, they stated, oh, we're open to that. This is, in this galaxy, in this world, that's a normal thing. It's perfectly fine. Nobody's gonna raise their nose to it. And that's why you got the hint of that throughout the entire series. Nobody brought up that that was a bad thing. Everybody accepted it because in that universe, it was acceptable. And then yes, for everybody that actually watched it, I joked at the very beginning, but if you watch the show, at the very end, there's so many things saying that the two of them are married. Again, Eddie is literally saying you should listen to your sister-in-law. Eddie is saying that I am your sister by law. And yes, Eddie is the sister of Suetta. And then yes, when Miran shows up, they both have the same rings. And I think at some point they even mentioned the idea that that was her mother-in-law. That Prospera was her mother-in-law. So it's like, well, what's the question here? Like, who's interpreting this? I mean, this is a joke, right? And so yes, the big question mark comes is, how outraged are you? And yes, I can honestly see that a lot of people seeing this as representation is going to affect them, and it hurts them that they were excited about this. I would assume that everybody that really wants this change to happen in Japan, they're going to be upset about this because they were rooting for this whole cause. But then here we have, like I said, Bandai coming out and saying, no, change that. Change that. That's not canon. Why? Why exactly is this an issue? If it's coming from the top down, my assumption is going to be it's probably something to do with shareholders and somebody wanting it to be appealable to other countries. It's already been released in Japan. It's already been sold in Japan. So why would they have issues with it being that way? Make no mistake, Okuchi, who wrote it, wasn't shy away from this concept. Like I said, it was throughout the entire story. Even the first episode was massively inspired by Utena. And what is Utena? It's literally a story about Yuri and relationship between two females. This isn't something that he was shying away from. It's almost like he went in there and said, I have this great story and here's where it is. And these two characters get together and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. This sounds amazing. And then they went and they made the whole thing and they got it all the way done and completed. And then it sold out there and everybody's excited about it. They printed it, they pressed it, they made Blu-rays. And now why would they suddenly go, wait, no, that's not right? Again, my assumption is that I don't think this has anything to do with Japan specifically. Because they've already set that bed. They've already laid in that bed. It's done, printed, sold, distributed. So why now? Is it because they didn't want it to be confirmed in writing that it was marriage and not just two girls sitting there with a ring? Or is it possibly they're trying to sell this to another market? I think I read somewhere where I don't think that Gundam actually aired in China. Maybe it's possibly they're trying to get it out there, Gundam Witch out there. I don't think that would really work because, again, the entire show is referencing marriage. It doesn't make any sense. The theory that I think I agree most with, and again, this is just a theory. I don't know who caused this. And like I said, me personally, I typically kind of try to figure out who exactly did it and hold them accountable, not really just destroy the entire branch because of this. Like, I don't throw out all my Gunpla because this is probably somebody else not involved with it. And by destroying these, it sort of is negative to the people that weren't involved with it. But essentially Gundam Ace, which I think is printed in China, and probably some other countries that aren't really accepting of this, they probably seen this and said, we don't want this in the magazine. This is not right. Somebody complained. And so they removed it. Not, again, like I said earlier, not necessarily because of it being in Japan, because again, they already made that bed and they're sleeping in it. So this is being printed elsewhere, and they didn't like that being printed in there, and so they got mad, and so they removed it. So it comes down to probably somebody in Bandai Namco, or it could possibly be somebody in Kadokawa, somebody with Gundam Ace, which again would make sense if it's printing and going into other countries that aren't accepting of that. Now, that brings up a very interesting question mark. Kadokawa recently bought a certain news group, and I'm very curious because I haven't seen a peep about this on their news site. And this is something that they would probably be readily foaming at the mouth to jump on. And I'm wondering if they're not going to print anything on this particular subject because it involves Kadokawa, despite the fact that when they bought them, they said they're going to keep their integrity. We'll see. In the coming days, we will see if that particular news site, you probably know what I'm talking about, Anime News Network, we'll just say it. We'll see if Anime News Network will post about this, because I'll be very curious, because again, this technically involves Kadokawa, and Kadokawa is their boss now. I'll be very curious. It's a very bizarre move. And yes, you can probably immediately knee-jerk say that it has to do with Japan and they're accepting of gay relationships, but I don't know that's necessarily the case because, like I said, why wouldn't they have shut it down from the very beginning? Unless their idea was to do like a lot of other companies do, which is Yuri baiting. I mean, I made a whole video on Lycoris Recoil, and with that case, I was defending the idea that this wasn't their intention. Otherwise, they would have just done it. And a lot of people got mad at me because they wanted that relationship to be canon. But I'm like, that's technically can be also seen as that's how girls act, especially teenage girls. But here, no, I'm not arguing it here. This was like literally blatant in your face. The two of them got married in the end. So why is this an issue? If they made this bed, why are they not sleeping in it? It's very bizarre. And again, I think it probably comes down to the wrong person finally seen it and said, no, we're not doing that. But again, why was that not confirmed back when the guy was literally writing it? This makes me think that they want to get into a market that doesn't accept this. Because yes, while Japan isn't openly accepting of this, they're perfectly fine in storytelling. Otherwise, again, we wouldn't have Gundam Witch even air. But again, I fully acknowledge that it might just be the thing that you're not supposed to say. We're going to show it, we're going to present it, but we're not going to say it. It's super bizarre, but in the end, like I said, them's the breaks. Confirmed. It's all interpretation. It's not real. Everything is not real. It's like Gundam, it's like Bandai is trying to gaslight us all into thinking that we didn't see what we've seen. Oh, we're all nuts, right? Anyhow, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this whole situation. Sad news for Murin and Sueta fans out there. Big heartbreak. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button down below if you did. Subscribe if you've not already. Additionally, if you want to support the channel, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate it. Support the channel, and y'all take care.